Hello! My name's Amanda and I am a crocheter. I love crochet, but the past 7 months I have been really wanting to learn how to knit. And there is one particular pattern that I have in mind that has been calling to me for that time, which is the Leaf Hopper sweater by Leaf Hopper Knits. And I honestly, in general, just love how color work sweaters and knit look, and I've been wanting to learn how to make them. Now, I'm not going to learn how to make this sweater or color work sweaters in general in this video. I have kind of like laid out for myself the things I'm going to need to learn in order to get to be able to make this sweater. And then there are some other sweaters I want to make after this one. First things first, what we're going to learn and get ourselves up to today, and today I mean in this video because for me it's not going to be all in one day, is the ability to crochet, nope, that's my old craft, knit a simple raglan. And here's kind of what I have been doing. I've been doing tons of research, I have been doing tons of practicing, and I have found, based on some people's recommendation, a YouTube video which is literally called How to Knit a Simple Raglan Sweater / Free Pattern, and this is by Ashley Lillis. I will have it linked somewhere somehow. I watched her video almost all the way through. I watched it all the way through up until the sleeves so that I could like copy that, and then once I get to the sleeve part on my own, I'll continue watching her video. And I've downloaded her free pattern and I'm looking at it. My timeline of doing yarn crafts is a little bit weird. So when I was 8 years old, my granny, who's still with me, thankfully, taught me how to crochet. And by taught me how to crochet, I mean that I basically knew how to chain, I knew how to do a single crochet. I might have been taught a slip stitch, I really don't know. And I think I was taught a double crochet. So not much, but let's be real, I was 8 years old and I was really not super into it at the time. Now, flash forward a little bit. In high school, my best friend at the time, who I'm still very good friends with, by the way, which is impressive, it's been over 10 years, she was learning how to knit. Now, I, from her, picked up some basics to knitting, and I, from her, stole one set of knitting needles straight. I still have them to this day. I think they're, hold up, I think they're right here actually. I stole these. She knows, she doesn't care. It's US 10 millimeter, US 10 6mm straight knitting needles. Now, when I say she taught me how to knit, she quite literally taught me how to cast on and how to knit. I did not know how to purl, and I didn't know how to cast off. So that was super helpful for me. At that, though, I realized that knitting was hard, and so I picked crochet back up at that time, and I did crochet again for about a year. I eventually dropped it again. In college, I picked up crochet again, was not into it, and then re-picked up knitting back again on my straight needles, and I learned how to cast off. At that point, I still didn't know that purling was a thing. So then, flash forward again till about 2-ish years ago. We're talking approximately 2023 time. I felt in my soul that I wanted to learn crochet and I wanted to really seriously do it. So I bought a bunch of really cheap, crappy yarn online, and I found my hook that my grandma had given me when I was 8. I still have it. It is this hook. She gave it to me. I did not steal this. It is a Susan Bates 5.75mm. Yeah, such an odd hook. And I taught myself, once again, all of the basics that I had known. They came back super quickly, like riding a bike. And then I picked up and learned all of the things that I didn't know very quickly. And then from that, I have exploded over the past 2 years. I have learned how to make pretty much anything I could ever want to make. And I am so happy with crochet. I love it so much. I love how knit looks. And I also feel like I have kind of gotten to the point with my crochet where I am not going to advance anymore just doing what I am doing. My goal for learning knitting is to be able to kind of help me better understand how to make garments and how to construct things in other ways so that I can combine the skills that I have in knitting and crochet and use whichever is the better of the two mediums to build something, but then one day maybe be able to combine them together. We're gonna take a step back. I should have started this video a few days ago, but I didn't want to have you guys like sit and watch all of the really boring stuff. At the beginning of the year, I knew that I wanted to pick up knitting, so I bought some metal in the round needles because I knew that the thing I needed to learn next was how to knit in the round. So I bought these off of the TikTok shop, and there's a huge problem. As soon as I got them, I realized they do not have any kind of number or anything on them. I don't know how long this is. I don't know what size needles these are. I know nothing. So I kind of realized that after the return window, unfortunately. So I just have like, I think it's like 6 or 8 of these needles, and they're all random different sizes. This is the biggest one that came in there, so they get a lot smaller than this. And I basically had decided I was never going to use them, except these are great to practice with. So over the past few days, I have written out a list of things that I needed to practice before I got into actually starting my first knit in the round. And here is what I have gotten. So the first thing I needed to practice was just basic stockinette. And what I did is I pulled out this random big twist yarn that should have been knit with a 5mm US 8 needle. No clue if that's what I had or not. I just sat down first and I just practiced doing a stockinette, and this has been blocked. So you can see up here in this corner, I got a little bit confused, but that's okay because for my very first ever stockinette, I did pretty dang well through most of it. Next, I wanted to try to practice doing a long tail cast on. Then I wanted to practice doing a little bit of color work. And so I did this on these same needles. And you can see there's a giant line right here where I did something really funky. I don't know what it is. I have blocked this as well, but I did a long tail cast on at the bottom. It's a little bit loose. That's okay. I'm practicing. I did a cast off like normal, and I started doing some color work. I counted very wrong on all of my color work, but I started doing it. And as soon as I kind of started to realize like, oh, I'm counting really wrong, this isn't going to be the picture that I want it to be, I just stopped because, again, this was just practice. The next thing I thought I needed to learn was actually how to crochet knit in the round. So we've got just a couple of rows of knitting in the round, which was super duper easy. Again, I did a long tail cast on. I think this was like 82 stitches or something, and then I just knit all the way around. I see way less mistakes in this piece than in either of the other two. My needles that I just ordered a pretty cheap set of interchangeable needles. They arrived, and this kit came with a bunch of different kinds of stitch markers. It came with one of those rings that's supposed to hold your yarn, but at this point I had already figured out how to hold my yarn, so I didn't really need that. It came with a bunch of tapestry needles. I do have tapestry needles from my crochet, but it's very nice to have them. It came with all of the interchangeable cords that I was going to need. I do have one out at this moment. And it came with a bunch of other stuff that I literally don't know what any of this does. So drop it down in the comments if you have a clue. And then it came with my handy dandy needles that I actually think are so freaking gorgeous. And as you can tell, one is missing. It is the 5mm, and that is because after I got those, I decided I wanted to practice with the actual yarn that I was going to use on my first sweater. And I was going to make a gauge swatch, something I have literally never done in crochet before. And there are a couple of mistakes in here, but we're going to ignore them because I am brand new at this, okay? And this is what I was able to make. Now, the yarn that I have does change colors, so it only has like some of the colors that'll end up being in the final swatch, but I did it. This was just stockinette. I think I held it for you upside down. I don't really know. I'm really bad at being able to tell that right now. I did a long tail cast on. I'm freaking proud of that. After my gauge swatch, I did a bunch of math. I don't even know where my notebook is, so that I could figure out exactly what I needed to do, because I'm following a pattern, you know, but her yarn and her hooks are completely different sizes from my yarn and my hooks. And I cast it on and I have started working on it. I have gotten past the collar and I have started doing the next thing that I am going to be doing in this pattern, which is learning increases. Really interesting for me is when I came back to knitting, of course I had my preferences from before in the past. By the way, I should mention I am using the Tea Time yarn from Hobby, which is in the color, I don't remember off the top of my head, and the label's off of that, so I'll talk about that later. I had my preferences from, you know, when I had knitted before in the past, which was to knit English. Is English when you hold it in the right? I think it is. But I had seen everyone talking online about how if you crochet a lot, it's probably easier. They recommend that you start knitting continental. So I decided coming back, I was going to attempt to knit continental. And let me tell you, that was extremely difficult for me. What ended up happening is that I started knitting English and purling continental because my brain had already learned how to knit English, and so it couldn't like switch it up. So I had to spend, I think it was when I was working on this one, which might be where that line came from, I'm not totally sure. I had to spend a significant amount of time having to reteach myself how to purl English. When I'm just knitting, I seem to be going at a pretty decent speed so far, which is great because this is like day 3 basically of me knitting. But then again, if I have to switch between knitting and purling, I am slow as butt. And if I have to do any kind of increases or counting anything, then I'm also going to slow down. Okay, so I took a break for a bit and then I came back to my knitting and I dropped a stitch. I thought something was really weird over here, but I just kept going. I kept knitting like around. And then when I was like stopping and looking over my work, I went, wait a freaking second. My stitch is like all the way down, like halfway down my work. So I had seen people online just use a crochet hook to like crochet it back up, which I just successfully did. And what I'm going to do is, because it's like here and you know my needles are over here, is I'm gonna put a stitch marker on it for right now. And then next time I come around, I'm gonna have to knit that stitch double, I think. Or I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that one out, honestly. Just under a week since I started this project. This is probably looking like a mess to you all, but I have gotten to the point where I have split for the sleeves and now I am just knitting in the round for the body. What I have done is I have put a piece of scrap yarn on both sleeves and then I just tied them together so they would stop hanging loose. But something is like nagging at me. I have maybe like 1/2 inch of knitting for the body, and it's just nagging at me that I feel like the body's not big enough. Like, I measured it, I tried it on when I was splitting for the armholes, but I just can't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, if I'm about to knit like this whole body and then it's not gonna fit on me, like that would make me so freaking sad. Okay, I put on a real bra for this, so I did decide to just put more scrap yarn through it. It just felt like the best way to test this out for myself. And of course, because it's you know, it's stockinette stitch, even though I'm just doing the knit because it's in the round, everything is curling up. So it is kind of hard to see, but I think it's going to be fine. I can't adjust to that. I cannot reach it. I have taken a few weeks off of working on this sweater because of two reasons. One, I know we tried this on, it might have even been the last clip, but I got super nervous that even though I had tried it on, it wasn't gonna fit. So I've been just sitting it on my desk and not thinking about it, but I started to feel kind of, I don't know, I get this like guilty feeling when I don't work on a project for so long, because to me it starts to feel like I'm never gonna work on it again. So I finally ordered some cables, and they came with a pack of 2, but they're like ridiculously long. So I cut one down. I'm trying this on for the first time in weeks, and it fits very comfortably, very nicely. And once I kind of get the sleeves on too, I think it's going to be great. I'm a little worried about the sleeves because this is like perfect underneath my armpit. So if it gets any tighter, I will be uncomfortable. Reason number 2 was I have developed something called knitter's thumb in my left hand, in my left thumb, I guess, technically. So I know that this is like my first knit project, and that is true. But when I set this down because I was nervous, I started a second knit project, which is a color work sweater, and I'm loving it. I want to work on it all the time. Problem is, my tension on color work apparently is way too tight, because I worked on that for 2, maybe 3 days, and I literally, my thumb, the joint right here, was in so much pain that I couldn't crochet. I couldn't pick up like anything with my left hand. And I haven't really been working on anything knitting wise for a while now. And even crochet, I'm only kind of like starting to get back into it, to be honest. I'm a little bit nervous about picking this back up, but I don't feel any pain in it right now unless I go like crazy bent. We are going to ignore the outfit, but I have finished the body. And while it is shorter than I would have liked, I'm gonna leave it here. I ended up thinking about it last night, and I realized with how, like, it's not tight against my body, but it's form-fitting. So with how tight it is, I don't think I want this to be a sweater anymore. I think I want to turn it into a vest. So with that in mind, I was like, I want to shorten it up just a little bit. With a sweater, I would like to go a little bit longer than this. And then I'm just going to do some ribbing around the shoulders. I don't know exactly how that's going to like turn out or look. I do wish that this was like up here instead of kind of where it's falling. So instead of, you know, starting on the sleeves right now, I'm gonna block it because hopefully that'll add maybe a little bit of wiggle room for the neck versus the body. And then after it dries, I'll do the ribbing on the shoulders, which I don't know. I gotta figure out, I gotta look at some pictures of vests because I feel like even this is almost too long. Like it needs to be like this. So the other day I finished this top. I do still have to tie in my ends, and then I want to block it a second time because I only blocked it with the body, and so extra blocking would be great. But I tried it on, and it's a lot shorter on me than I thought. I don't know what I was thinking. I remember trying this on and being fine with it. So it's like pretty high up on me. And then I've been doing some thinking, and I'm kind of realizing that this is not really colors that I normally wear. So I don't know what I was thinking when I bought this yarn either. I'm losing my mind, honestly. But I didn't want this video to be a complete waste because I don't ever see myself wearing this ever. So I don't know what's gonna happen. So I also felt like I was lying to you guys because I said I was going to be knitting my first sweater, and that's clearly not a sweater. So while I was blocking and waiting on that to finish up, and I might have taken some extra time, I did end up knitting the same exact pattern, but in this yarn, which is something that I will absolutely wear. This is the Caron Cake Smash Cake in the color Caramel Crunch, I believe. So I have tried this on. This is not blocked and it looks fantastic. I'm really happy with it. And obviously it's colors I wear because it's the color I'm wearing right now. So I'll try it on for you so you can see what it looks like pre-blocked. And then I actually officially have a sweater knit for you. The only problem is it is kind of warm, so I'm not going to keep this on for super long, but this is what we're looking at. I did my arms a great length. And I did do a few short rows in the back, which the pattern doesn't call for, but I wanted to add them. So I learned German short rows. They're really not that bad. And this goes to an appropriate length. Yes, my shorts don't match my top. I'm working from home. I didn't care. I'm gonna go block this and then I'll come back and we'll do a wrap up for this whole entire video. I didn't get to block this sweater how I normally would because right now my bathtub is disgusting. I haven't been sleeping here. I've been watching a family friend's dog. I've been sleeping at their house. So I come home, check on my cats every night for a few hours and then go over there. So I haven't been bathing here, which has just led to some things falling by the wayside. So I put this into the washer in a bag on Delicate, and then once like all the water was spun out of it for the most part, I like laid it out how I wanted it to. Honestly, the sleeves feel a little damp on the inside still, so I don't know how well this blocked out is what I'm trying to say. I already feel something weird on this sleeve where I ended, and on this one, ended the cast off, but otherwise it fits me great. I do think it relaxed a little bit. Once my tub is clean, I'm probably gonna block it again the way I normally do, but here is this. And both cats have entered, so I'm pretty afraid that one of them's gonna jump in the way here. What have I learned during this experience? One, I really enjoy knitting. You guys can see the rainbow from my window. I love a good raglan. I think raglans are super pretty and I think they fit super well for me. I know other people who like other styles. I'm really excited to try other styles in knitting. That's, you know, why I wanted to learn how to knit. I think this piece fits me really, really good. If anything, I would have gone just a little bit bigger on the raglan increases, but this fits really well versus the other piece, which it's not my style how it fits. I am gonna attempt to unravel the other piece. This I will keep forever. I do need to go back, and I have little holes where I picked up stitches for the arm, the sleeves. So I need to go back and sew those shut, and then I think I'm gonna work on trying to fix this. Hopefully, no, it's too bright. You can see there's like, you see that right there, this right here, it's just awkward and I feel it, so I want to fix that. I don't know exactly how I'll do it, but I'll figure out a way to do it. I love the color, I love the yarn. I'm pretty hot in this. I like the neckline, although this isn't a neckline I will always do because I live in Florida and I usually need something a little bit further away from my neck, otherwise I will sweat to death. And I'm really excited to style this and actually wear it. I was gonna wear it today and then I packed clothes for the house that I'm staying at, and I realized after I got there that the outfit I had really didn't match this sweater, which is good because it is still a little damp. That's it. That's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're looking forward to me doing a little bit more knitting in the future because right now it's like all I want to do. There will be a day I go back and do crocheting and knitting and blah blah blah, but it's like when you first learn a skill, it's just so exciting and new and fresh. It's all you want to do for a while.